2 years ago, I took Mark Rober's class. In one of his builds, he built this really cool Sharpie dot system. Hard to explain exactly what it was. I'll throw up a picture. But basically, he had it code, and it basically would either place a dot or not place a dot, and it came out to a full picture. And so I thought, what if we take that idea, and we swap it out, and we make a huge LED sheet, and instead of dot or no dot, black or white, or pixel or no pixel, it is each color has its own code, and that code will represent each LED, and each LED will eventually come out to a full picture. So let's explore this idea. I'm really excited, and let's get to it. So building an LED board is pretty cool. You need LEDs, you need a backboard, you need solder, you need a soldering iron. So we went ahead and got some LEDs that can be addressed individually. Meaning these cheap little LEDs don't have individual addresses, the whole strip will be the address. As opposed to these have their own little components that make them individually addressable. So this one can be green, this one can be blue, this one can be red. As opposed to how it works for these cheap ones where it's like, they're all green, they're all blue, they're all red. It doesn't get an option. So basically how this works is this is a giant LED strip broken down into sections of 16 by 16. Meaning that there's 16 strips and each strip has 16 LEDs. So how this works is really cool. So basically what happens is the way you get solder onto a point is you will take a soldering iron, which is voila, and you will take solder. And then you'll take it and you'll heat up this little mini plot and then you'd apply it. But this is where the concept really changes because that didn't work. So what I found is the reason that the soldering iron was not working with these little joints was that there was an oxidized layer of film on top of the surface of these plates. And apparently this is a common occurrence. And so what they'll use is flux. And so if you look at this flux, it is a little resin paste, and this was really cool to me because I'd never seen this stuff before. This was really cool to use this stuff. I'd never used it before, and it was basically this little paste that you apply to the point, and when you do that, and you heat it up with a soldering iron, it causes the solder it basically eats away at that oxidized layer on the solder and on the plate, and what happens is it causes it to stick together. Obviously, that's a game changer because I didn't know there was things that don't stick together unless you use flux. Flux is a whole new category that I've learned about, and that was where the first problem was. But yeah, so while I was at work one day, I asked to come in and I was sitting at the desk and I was like, you know what? Let me solder all the joints together. I spent 6 hours. 6 hours soldering all these joints. So if you want to ever take a project where you want to learn how to use a soldering iron incredibly well, you want to learn how to use one of these? Make one of these. Make an LED board. It is phenomenal at teaching you how to solder because it's repetition of the same 2 actions over and over and over and over again. So the code portion of this. Obviously, you're probably wondering how we turn an image into code. And there's a lot of different ways. But from what Mark Rober showed in his video was that he had a converter. Basically, it would take each individual pixel on a picture and it would assign it a code. And obviously he did black and white, which means it was only, you know, this line or this line. But I was wanting so much more. So I went and found this converter that would convert images into code. And I knew I was going to do a 16-bit picture, meaning it was 256 LEDs, 16 by 16 rows, which meant every picture had to be 16 pixels by 16 pixels. What we did was we took those into Photoshop and we would shrink them down to the 16 by 16 bit and we would convert them and turn them into WMB files, I think it is. Or I'll put down what it was. It was something like a WMB, I think is what they were called. And these files are basically special files that would be considered for the pixel, the converter that it needed. So these were the file types that it needed. After putting them in the file converter and converting them over, it would turn them into code. And obviously each section needs its little, you know, each color has its own coordinate, and that's how it would do. And it basically came out to this giant array. But for the, for the Minecraft ones, I loved it. And I was really excited to see the LED board come out and it really throw out this really cool Minecraft image, whether it be in a grass block, a furnace, a diamond, any of these would have been really cool. As far as the flux, as far as the flux, it was great. Worked great. We soldered for hours and it came out to look really cool. It is like a really cool rainbow effect on the soldering board and I really loved it. The only issue we had was I didn't realize that it was conductive. So resin was very conductive, apparently. Well, not very conductive, but it was conductive. And I didn't know that when I applied voltage. So nothing blew up, nothing burned, but it didn't ever work right. Half the board would light up, and then I went to go clean it with isopropyl alcohol, because isopropyl alcohol, or rubbing alcohol, as most people would know it, does remove leftover resin. Leftover flux resin. The only issue is that after I had done this and we gave it a full bath and we scrubbed it and we dabbed it and we swabbed it, it still came out to only working with a single LED. Now that could be 1,000 reasons why that happened. I got it to light up about 85% of the board with about 180 LEDs working, playing the animation out, but it would only play one animation and stop. It wouldn't play all of them. So there could have been issues there. I had a friend check out the code and he seemed to have no issues with it, which was really cool, but I'm sorry to say, but I think the board just didn't make it. And it's a shame. Obviously, this whole video isn't about the board itself. It's about the code. It's about how this is all, how you convert these images into code and then turning them back into these pixel images. And it just didn't work out. I'm sorry to say, but the LED board is dead to my knowledge. Obviously I didn't take it apart, I kept it. So if you, in the comment section, if you happen to give me ideas, I would be more than happy to try them out and if we can get it working, I would love to get it working. I'll put it up on the wall. I really enjoyed making this video. It was a ton of fun. But I really just want to say thank you to everybody who watched the video, especially all the way through. And please do subscribe. I really want to take off and do so much more. This is a small project. And I do say small in the comparison of the stuff I have upcoming. But to conclude this, I do want to add a roadmap. So companies tend to love to put out roadmaps of like where they're going with their, company and everything. And I think I want to do one for this channel and show like all the different projects that are coming. I want to take these really cool concepts that I find really cool and reteach them to you guys, because I don't always just learn to love. I don't always just love to learn. I also love teaching. And, as much as I don't get to teach because I'm not a teacher, I want to teach some really cool stuff here, especially about science, maybe some engineering stuff. I'm not an engineer, but I am very passionate about engineering and science and space. So we got a lot coming. So You Learn, I Learn, We Learn is coming out soon. We'll probably have our first video coming up in the next couple weeks. And then we'll have more builds coming. I'm sorry, I got too excited. Okay, so we just have project coming up. I'm gonna give a symbol and a picture and a single word for each project coming up, in which we will just show all of them. They'll have a little symbol by them, and the symbol will indicate what the project is. The word will kind of give you a reference to what it'll be about, and then we'll give you a rough date to tell you when it's coming. So please comment down below which video you think is coming out next. What do you think it's gonna be? And what do you think each one of these symbols means? And how do you think it's gonna come out? So I'm really excited. I'm blabbering on now at this point because I'm so, oh God, I love all of this. So yeah, tons of cool videos coming. I keep looking over because I'm looking at my board where all of my projects are. You guys haven't seen the board, but there's a board with just lists of at least like 40 different builds that I wanna do. And at least, I think 8 You Learn, I Learn, We Learn topics. And of course, there's some really cool sciencey shorts that I want to do, or short versions of the videos. So like and subscribe because we got a lot of cool stuff coming and I'm super excited. So stick around, I swear, it's so cool.